Right, so today we are continuing with our speaking practice, and it is Afan's turn. This is speaking assessment B from the March 2024 examination session. Afan, starting with the warm up. How much time do you spend with your friends?
I spend a good amount of time with my friends. I see them every 2 weeks, usually in the evening at a park or a mall. Um, we all are really busy with our studies, so that's why we sometimes really rarely meet, but it's always twice a week or once in a week.
Hmm. What did you do during your last holiday? Right, did you get the question, Afan? Can you hear me? Hello?
During my last holiday,
Okay.
there my mother's side. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, go on.
During my last holiday, I went to a trip to Pakistan where it was it was my cousin's wedding from my mother's side. We also went to a trip to the northern side of Pakistan where we looked at the mountains and the small cities. The views were beautiful. We spent a lot of time uh, outdoors and we enjoyed a lot.
Okay, so you could polish your response by saying, uh, I went to Pakistan for a cousin's wedding who's from, my mother's side. And that's not all we did, right? So after the wedding, we went on a trip to the northern areas, which is known for its beautiful mountains and, small towns or smaller cities. And it was, really scenic. It was breathtaking. It was really enjoyable. We had a great time. So I said exactly what you said, just like I said, polishing it out a bit. Okay, what is your favorite food?
Um, my favorite food would be the homemade biryani that my mother makes. Um, it is simple food, but the way my mother makes it is really good. And we also like to eat outdoors. There's a small restaurant near my house where they have one of the best pastas I've ever eaten. I go there every month, and I ask my mother to make the same pasta at home.
Okay, so again, a bit of polishing over here, right? You started with my favorite dish is the homemade biryani that my mother makes at home, which is right kind of redundant in terms of, the choice of words, right? So you could simplify that and improve it by saying, my favorite dish is my mother's homemade biryani. Homemade, by definition, is it's being made at home, right? You don't need to say homemade biryani that my mother makes at, or you could just say, my favorite dish is homemade biryani that my mother makes, right? So my mother's homemade biryani or homemade biryani that my mother makes, right? You don't need to repeat at home. And right, you eat outdoors as well. So there's a small cafe or restaurant you mentioned, right? That has the best pasta you've ever had or you've ever eaten. And you could say that, right? You go like I go there, you know, I make it a point to go there once a month, or I go there at least once a month, or I go there regularly once every month, right? One of those variations, just again, right, to polish out your response. And I also frequently ask my mother to make that same kind of dish at home. Okay, now, right here is a point where I believe I've highlighted this earlier as well, but now you have it staring at you, and that is, it is possible that you are presented with a series of questions that you're not perhaps comfortable with, or you don't know a lot about, or you have no experience with. So for that, one thing is, I've mentioned, do your reading, do your practice, have some general information to help you in these kind of situations. Or what you can do is you can deflect the question, right? So you have to give a response, but you give a response that, right, keeps you safe and fulfills the requirement of the assessment. Right, so over here it says, I'm going to ask you some questions about singing. Now, well, I don't do songs, I don't listen to music. Right? There are people like that, sure. Right? So you're not into music, you're not into singing, you don't listen to people sing, you don't do that, right? So you're like, oh my God, they're going to ask me about songs and singing and music. So how am I going to respond? Now, right, I didn't ask you, I just started, you know, clarifying that. Afan, are you into singing and music?
No.
Well, there you go. Right? So uh, right, how do you respond to these questions? So see if you can, and then we'll work with it. Right, so the first question is, when do people listen to songs and why?
Um, People listen to songs almost all the time. Many listen when they're traveling or at work. Some listen when they're exercising or when they're relaxing at home or doing their work. People listen to songs for many reasons. Most of the people listen to songs to relax their mind and feel good. Uh, music, uh, music also, music also changes our mood. Sometimes when we're sad, uh, listening to a happy song cheers us up.
Hmm.
It also helps people to focus on the work they do.
Good. So for someone who's not into songs and music, you've given a decent response, right? Now, obviously, we can polish it. We can say, right, people, some people listen to songs all the time. Some are more, you know, listen to them depending on the situation they're in or what the activity that they're engaged in. They might be listening to, music when they're working out, when they're exercising, or when they're performing some task, or when they're studying, right? So right, that's because songs and the music that goes with it. So you see the question is not asking about music, right? So I mean, I am, and you, what you did, you included music. Why? Because, right, you can have songs without music, but the context over here is that when you're talking about songs, you're talking about the mainstream type of songs which do have music with them, right? And so songs and their wordings and the music that goes with them, the tune and the rhythm, right? It does have an effect on our mood, right? So if you're feeling down, uh, listening to a happy, upbeat song can help cheer us up. So, right, when we're traveling, right, to keep ourselves occupied mentally, and keep us awake and energetic, we can put on the kind of songs that have that have that kind of energy. If we want to relax and unwind, we play something that's calmer, slower, right? Not as loud. So yeah, I mean, there's uh, lots of different songs and lots of different reasons why people listen to them. Again, like I just tried to say what you said, right? Just a bit, I tried. I'm not saying I succeeded. I tried to just give a more polished uh, appearance to it. Okay. Can you tell me about a time when you watched someone sing and what it was like?
When I watched someone sing was last year. I went to a local concert in my park with my family. A local singer was performing some popular songs. It was a great experience. The weather was nice and it was a really happy environment. Everyone was cheering the singer up and enjoying the music. The crowd was really happy and the crowd was really happy and cheerful.
Hmm.
Everyone was clapping and enjoying their time.
Okay, so clearly what you've done over here is you sort of deflected your answer, right? You're talking about, well, I mean, it sort of deflected because the question is asking you what it was like. So you're talking about the crowd and the weather and stuff like that, right? And so they were cheering the singer and they were clapping and they were happy. And it's like, okay, fine. Uh, to be more direct, right? They're asking about what was the experience like for you. So you did kind of deflect the question, the answer, which is fine again, right? So clearly, as you mentioned, you don't have experience in that domain. Uh, so how could you give a I use this right for lack of uh, a different word? How could you get a better response for this? So can you tell me about a time when you watched someone sing what it was like? So, right, and keep in mind, right, both of you, you don't need to start. In fact, you shouldn't, in most cases, start by repeating the questions. So, you normally start by, people sing, people listen to songs because, right, the last time I watched someone sing was when, right, so you're repeating the question, don't do that. So, right, you can simply start by, right, it was last summer and I went to a park with my family, and there was a live concert going on over there. Apparently, it was a talent. You could say it was a talent show, or it was a fundraiser or something like that, or or maybe it was just fun. Right? It was a fun mela and a fun gala, or a fun carnival or something. And they had like a live concert going on with some local singers performing popular songs. Uh, right, obviously they didn't sound as good and they were making mistakes, but then again, right, it wasn't like a professional performance and no one expected it of them. So what it was like, well, it was nice, right? I mean, the people were very positive about it. They were cheering the singer on, they were enjoying and having a good time, and that really created that the atmosphere, a lot of energy, a positive energy, like it was a positive vibe in the air, right? So no one really cared about the stumbles and all that, and it was a good time, right? I've never been to a concert with one of these popular singers, but so this is the only experience I have, and it was interesting, right? It was interesting. You normally listen to the recorded tracks, and then listening to someone perform them live on stage was quite the different experience. No, not what I, definitely not what it sounds like in a recording. Okay. Now, again, as I mentioned, you don't have to be fast in your response. In fact, if you're a bit slow, you're giving yourself time to think about the words that you want to use, right? And being a bit slow is better than using crutch words. So using words like, and going and right? So being slow is better than doing all of that. Okay, third question. Do you think dancing and singing lessons at school are just as important as math or history? Why or why not?
No, I don't think singing and dancing lessons are at school are as important as math or history, as math and history teach fundamental knowledge and skills that are essential for our future career.
Hmm.
These subjects build a strong foundation of these subjects build a strong foundation of any student of critical thinking, problem solving, or even simple uh, problem solving techniques. Singing and dancing are enjoyable and can be good for health and a fun way to pass time. But at school, we have really limited time, and the time should be focused on doing what's important, like academic subjects like math and history, science, etc. Art subjects like dancing and singing are important, but not as important in math and history.
Okay. So for that response, what could we sort of do to improve it? You could perhaps include the point that there are a lot of subjects, right? It's not just singing and dancing, and obviously the argument exists for and against. But what I believe, right, is that there could be classes after school in clubs or eh, uh, extra credit classes where singing and dancing lessons are offered for those who want to take it. So they could be elective subjects, not the compulsory core subjects that you would have in school. So if a school wants to incorporate them, sure, go ahead, but not to make it compulsory, right? So as for importance, I wouldn't say, right, that they help build a core, like a foundation for our knowledge for the future. They are practical skills, and again, right, perhaps they're not useful for everyone, right? Math and history in general is useful for everyone at some level or the other, right? So yeah, so maybe like include something of that to give your response a bit of variation instead of just saying that math and history are important and that's it. Okay, so next up is the short talk, right? You have a minute to think about this. Here's the question. It's about choosing a job. So at school, you have been discussing what job you would like to do in the future. You are considering the following options: working as a doctor or starting your own company. Talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each job, right? So both of them, talk about both of them. Say which option you would prefer and why. You've got a minute to think about it. So, right, you can tell me when you're done, and so we can start talking. All right, let's go.
Sir, can I start?
Yes, yes.
Okay. First, talking about the advantages of being a doctor. Being a doctor is really nice as you help people. You help the sick people get better. This feels really good. Seeing people cure. Being a doctor is a safe job as people always need doctors. It's a frequently occurring job as the rise in people too. Being a doctor um also has a good salary, and doctors are really respected in a community. And being a doctor all is like you get to learn new things every day and help many different kinds of people. The bad the disadvantages of being a doctor are it's very long hours. You have to work a lot of time as at night or at weekends. And it's becoming a doctor requires a lot of training. I don't know how much, but you need to study for many years, which is expensive and takes a lot of time. Uh, and The advantages of starting your own company are, you get to be the boss. You don't have to look up to someone for orders or uh, agreements, or you don't have to ask people for what you have to do, and you really have freedom. And even more money is possible by starting your own company. When a business goes successful, you can make more money than a normal job might make, and you really feel proud of yourself when you build something from nothing, and it makes you happy. uh, and it's also really you don't have, and you really have a flexible schedule. Like once the business starts, it's you have more control over your work, and you don't need to work a lot. And the disadvantages of starting your own company are that your money is always at risk. You might lose your money at any point, and if it fails, you don't have any money left. But it's always success after hard work. And starting your own company, you have to really work a lot at first. Y- you really have to work well, but at the end it all pays off. And the last disadvantage is your company might fail, as many new companies close down. There is no guarantee of success. So I would prefer starting my own company. I like the idea of being free to try my own ideas and being in charge, even if it's risky and hard. The chance to build something new from scratch is exciting.
Okay, so overall, that was a good response. You covered a lot of points for advantages and disadvantages of both options. Obviously, you took a lot of time, right? So the maximum time you're going to get to talk in the actual assessment for this is 2 minutes. So you obviously took more than 2 minutes. And so what would happen in that case is the examiner will just tell you to stop. And that's not because your answer is wrong, it's because there's a time limit, as I mentioned earlier. And they have to move on to the next question and wrap this up within 15 minutes and then call the next candidate, right? So the points presented were good. The only thing that you were lacking, like there are certain other points, but right, the main thing that you are lacking in this one is fluency. So you were slow, and it was very clear that you're really thinking about what you want to say, which is good. But right, you also want to have fluency, right? So you don't want to appear as if you are really thinking about what you're saying, right? Really stopping and thinking about each and every word. So there's a difference between talking slowly, which I think I'm doing, right? But hopefully I'm not appearing as I'm stopping, right? Hopefully. Now, obviously you'll be the judge of that because right, you're the listeners. But as far as the points are concerned, yeah, they were good points, right? So you really covered both sides of that discussion. Speaking of discussion, right? That's part three of the assessment. So, uh, right, these are supposed to be linked to the short talk. So here's the first question, Afan. What do you think helps young people decide what job to do in the future?
For young people, it's really their career. It's really what they watch other people do or an inspiration. Sir, I don't know.
Try, try. What do you think?
Sir, it's either what you watch people do or you're inspired by someone.
Okay, so right, what do you think helps young people decide what job to do in the future? So you could start, well, there are a number of factors, right? First and foremost is what they watch people do. Or in fact, even before that, what their parents or the elders in their family do. right? So there are certain families that are known as doctors or engineers or artists or something, or teachers, right? And that's because perhaps they're motivated by seeing the elders of the family all in a single profession, or it's more of a family thing where perhaps unfortunately they might be pressurized into choosing a certain career, right? That also happens. Then, right, on a similar note but not the same, is that they would perhaps be motivated by someone they see. So, right, perhaps in school they had a really good teacher, and that motivated them to choose the teaching career, right? Or they came across a really good, they read a really good book and they wanted to become a writer. They saw a really good photograph and they wanted to become a photographer or a filmmaker, anything of the sort. So that's another thing. Uh, then, right, they might have unique ideas of their own, and if they get the opportunity to try them out, they could very well, build a career for themselves, which is something unique, right? Either completely, entirely unique, or you know, maybe like a mix and match of different things, right? So someone could be an engineer and a philanthropist, right? Or someone could be a scientist and a gymnast. And that one's an actual one, by the way, right? So on a side, there was this female gymnast who won the gold medal in one of the Olympics, who was a PhD doctor about like uh, uh, about dinosaurs, something about dinosaurs, right? Paleontology, I believe, is the term for that. So I think he was a PhD in paleontology, who also prepared for gymnastic, like I don't know if it's gymnastics or the trampoline or this or something like that. And she competed in the Olympics and she actually won the gold medal, right? So you can be an athlete and a scientist. So yeah. So how, right? So that's my response. What do you think?
It's good.
Hmm. Next, right? So yeah, uh, right. You obviously we are learning, right? So the questions are coming across like, oh, I wasn't able to answer that question properly. What do I do? Okay, fine. So you look up information, you think about it. What can I respond, right? And the other thing you can do is you can think of, right, how this question can be presented differently, right? So, for example, the question is, do you think uh, young people should take advice from their the elders of the family to decide what job to do in the future? So this is a twist on that same question. And then you think about that, like, okay, fine. If this were the questions, you make your own question based on the one you have. You give it a twist, and then you think about, okay, so if that were the question, how would I respond? All right.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think young people should do part-time jobs during school holidays?
Yes, I think working part-time jobs in holidays is a good idea. These jobs teach important skills like young people learn to be on time, talk with others, manage their time, and be responsible. They also get their own money and learn how to save it or spend it in the future. But they must find a good balance. Like the job should not be too much work or make them too tired. Like they still need time to relax and be with their family in their school holidays.
Hmm. Okay. What are the benefits of working for a family business?
Working in a family business has special has has really good many good points. Everyone in the family usually trusts everyone, and they all want the business to grow and do well. This makes a really friendly environment and a helpful work team. Family members often work really hard because they really care about the money and the work they put in. It can be also easy to move up to a manager job later because the plan is already set.
Hmm. The last point's interesting. In some countries, people get a 2 hour lunch break at work and school. Do you think this is a good idea?
A 2 hour lunch break has good points and bad points. The good part is that people have a long time to eat food and relax and have a break from the work they have been doing. This break can make them feel fresh and happy again so they work or study better after. The bad part is that it makes the work day or the school day much longer, as the extra time might make it hard for parents to pick their children after school or for people to do their fun activities in the evening. And for people who work in offices, um, might not get time with their family after their work.
Okay, so you presented good points overall throughout your speaking, right? I like that. Uh, for this response, right, for the time being, the only thing I'd say is instead of saying they're good points and bad points, use pros, pros and cons. Okay,
Okay.
so having a 2 hour lunch break has both pros and cons. Right, pros means the good points, cons means the mm, bad points, and then you go on and talk
Yes.
about
Okay.
it. All right, so that will be all for today. I'll right, let you know when I've put up the writing task right after class, definitely. And if you can try and do it by tomorrow if possible, so we'll review that in class. Otherwise, uh, since I've handed over the reading and the listening to you guys, we'll do another speaking, or we could do reading and listening as well, right? If we feel like it, so we'll decide that when we begin class tomorrow. But yeah, so we're done for today, right? Anything
Okay.
you'd like to add or suggest or something?
No.
Okay, and see you guys next time.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah.